Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to Always Online. Almost said it, Jason. I'm gonna say it one of these weeks. I'm gonna accidentally call it the free-to-play cast one of these weeks. Welcome to Always Online, your multiplayer gaming podcast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, and for once, the news broke before the cast, so we actually get to cover it rather than immediately after. So in addition to the stuff that we already had planned, we've got one or two news stories that we'll lead off with real quick and get everybody's take on. Joining me, as always, Mr. Jason Winter. What's up, sir?
It's great to be here on the Relic Gumbo.
The free Relic Gumbo online cast.
Bound,
yeah. Also here, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
It's been a week.
It has.
It's actually been a semi-good week. Well,
yeah,
semi-good.
Yeah, I mean, there were like 1 or 2 days this week where it was just like pumping the news stories, and you know what? It wasn't just because we opened it up to not just free to play. There was a lot of decent free to play news and some other stuff. So, yeah.
Dauntless shit, whatever. Anyway.
Hey, man, the Dauntless thing was pretty cool. I actually really like that. I really like that. I like seeing the community involved in anything. So, all right, we're going to...
That's because you have a soul.
Maybe. I'm going to go ahead and hit the news bump here, and we'll get started. Now, as always, we are doing the show live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, so we've got chat standing by to chime in as well. You can now also listen to Always Online via iTunes or Spotify. Check the description below for links to both if you want to take us on the go and don't want to use YouTube or watch it on MMOBomb.com. So, before we get to the news that we had planned, big breaking news before we came on the show here today, Jason. Epic versus Apple is now settled law. Well, kind of. I mean, there's going to be appeals. We know this is going to be challenged. They have 90 days to comply, even if there wasn't a challenge. But there will definitely be a challenge and an appeal. But the initial injunctions came down today from the judge in the Epic v. Apple case and ruled that, hey, I'm going to define the market of what we're talking about. And it's not just iOS's platform. It's not gaming. It's specifically mobile gaming monetary transactions. And with the market defined that way, let's throw out Apple being a monopoly. It's not a monopoly if you are looking at that as the market. So the judge threw that portion out, said, no, not a monopoly. But you are engaging in what the state of California in particular declares to be illegal practices as far as anti-competitive nature of financial transactions, and has ruled that Apple cannot, effective, I believe, December 9th, if no appeals go through or if the ruling is upheld, cannot block any of the apps on the iOS store. Sorry, Apple, not Google. I always do that. The iOS store from having their own payment system. So big win for Epic, Jason, if it stands in appeals court.
Yeah, it looks like this is basically what Epic did. They got them started the whole chain of events and got them booted off the store in the first place because they had made it so that you could go to click on a link or whatever and go to Fortnite.com and pay for their Fortnite bucks, like $8.99 for 1,000 of them, as opposed to the $11.99 that they were charging in the App Store. And that was the whole start of it all. And now apparently they are allowed to do that.
Yeah,
or more specifically, Apple can't stop them from doing that.
Right, can't stop them if they want to. If a store wants to. Obviously, if you just want to throw your thing on there and just whatever, have Apple deal with all the money, you're fine with the split, then you're free to obviously do that. But if you want to implement a pay us directly feature, Q, you are now able to do that, or not as of this minute, but this ruling will put that into effect soon.
Yeah, I did actually see, and I was scrolling for it in Twitter to try to find it, but Zach was talking about it, and it seems though like his take on it was that yes, it's a win for developers because they're now able to do this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Apple has to let Epic back on the store.
Right. And so the judge did point out that Apple was well within their rights at the time to boot Epic from the store for what they had done, the violation of the terms of service at the time when they booted them. Now, that with this new established law, again, assuming it all stands in appellate court and everything, then they would not be in their rights to do so going forward, but they're in a position now where they don't have to let Fortnite back on the system. The judge is not ruling saying what you did was wrong and you have to reverse that. They're saying, based on the terms of service at the time, you were totally within your rights to do that. I'm not going to make you reverse that. So it does kind of, to Q's point, Jason, put Epic in a little bit of a weird spot going forward, right? Because they can't just say, we don't want to put your games on our iOS anymore because we hate you. But they're going to have to find reasons to not let Epic products on there if Apple decides to go that route.
I think in the end, though, Apple wants money.
Yeah, good call.
and even if 20 or 30 or 40% of Fortnite players are going to use Epic's alternate payment system, they'll still get 60% of that if they let Fortnite back on the store. So I think they're going to eventually, because now they don't have a reason to do it. They don't have to play the strong man and say, well, if we let you do it, we'll have to let everyone do it. Well, now you kind of have to let everyone do it. So what's the point of not letting them do it?
I kind of believe they had to see this coming, this ruling coming, right, Q? I mean, Apple was already under pressure in Japan. Recently, pressure being applied in South Korea for basically the same types of cases and practices. And the dominoes were just kind of starting to fall. So I can't believe like this comes as a huge shock or a surprise, but they're certainly going to fight this one out.
Oh, I mean, just like I said, spite at this point, just because they feel like they have to or whatever. It'll be interesting, though, now that this is becoming a thing, to see how all these devs and smaller companies and everything handle issues like parents being really pissed off that their children spent thousands of dollars on through their store. Right, instead of Apple handling all that kind of shit.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It kind of, depending on the size of your company, it may be worth it to just have Apple handle all the monetary end of things and not have to deal with any aggravation. If you're small enough and 70-30 is totally fine. On top of that, though, I think this has huge, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, has huge downstream applications. We talked right at the beginning of this lawsuit about, well, what does that mean for the PlayStation Store? What does that mean for the Microsoft Xbox storefront? What does that potentially mean for Steam? I mean, I'm going to be streaming Bloodhunt after the cast today, and I went on and I spent a couple bucks on their Battle Pass, so I have access to everything for the stream to take a look at everything. And I didn't even think about it. Jason, I knew you were writing the article, but when I did the purchase, I had to buy the tokens in-game, but it kicked me out to my Steam wallet, which I had to fund my Steam wallet at the tune of a 5% fee to Steam to do so, and then purchase the tokens in the game. So ramifications potentially downstream for a lot of quote-unquote walled gardens.
Yeah, I guess I can see that, but I feel like it's not as big a deal for something like Steam, for instance, because Steam is a PC platform, and there are other ways I can buy the game on a PC and not go through a Steam store for most games at least.
Yeah.
So the fact that is not an exclusive sort of thing, whereas if I have an app on an iPhone, currently the only way I can buy a game on the iPhone is to pay Apple.
Yeah, no doubt there are differences. No doubt. I'm not trying to equate them and being the exact same. Because like you said, not only that, but you could, if you're playing X game on Steam, there are many games that give you the option to just go buy tokens right from their website, and it just drops them onto your account, whether you're on Steam or GOG or Greenman or through their direct client or whatever. You just link all of your accounts. So there are definitely differences. I think it does get a little closer to the same comparison, though, Q, when you start looking at the PlayStation Store, where if you want to buy, you know, tokens in X game, it's in the Sony marketplace that you are buying that. Yes, technically, you still have the option in some cases to go visit the game's website and do it, but it's not exactly as easy as it is, you know, if you're already playing a PC game. So there are potential repercussions that I think are going to be interesting to watch.
Although it just made me think when you were talking about, like, you know, with Steam, right? Most games you can go somewhere else and buy them. Although I did read an article a good while back about how, like, just buying games through Steam, right? Like, say Humble Bundle, because Humble Bundle was getting ready to sue Steam because of the way they do their stuff. Like, if you want to do a Humble Bundle that has Steam games, you have to go through Steam to make the purchases for the keys, right? Like, it's this entire thing. You have to go through them to do it. And it just made me wonder how, like, down the line, how is this going to affect Epic's exclusivity stuff that it has going on with a bunch of games with you can't buy, you know, you have to buy these games through us kind of thing. Because again, it's on the PC, but you can only buy the game through them.
Yeah, I think that's a little different, though, because then you start talking about exclusivity contracts between Company A and Company B, not the consumers being forced to use the monetary systems of the overall platform holder. But it is an interesting discussion, Jason. Like, if, you know, I don't think that would really go anywhere. Because, you know, if you give Sony $100 million, yeah, they're going to let that game be, or if Sony gives you $100 million, tough. You got to go to Epic Game Store for a year.
Or even if not, even if you're a small company, you're like, I don't want to have to deal with payment stuff or whatever. I'll just be exclusive on Sony or on the App Store or whatever. You have that choice as a developer. So, I
mean, even go to brick and mortar stores, you know, this particular computer brand, if you like it, is only available at Best Buy, you know, the old e-machines back in the days.
One interesting point that you brought up when we talked about how easy is this going to be leads me to think now maybe Apple will have to do this. They'll have to allow it, but it's going to be a whole lot. Even now when I'm on Steam and I click a link, they're like, are you sure you want to go? You're going away from Steam.
Yep.
Is it going to be the same thing? Are you sure you want to leave the App Store? Okay. Are you really sure? No, really. Third time. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this?
Yeah. Please please acknowledge that if you use this, we cannot guarantee the safety of the transaction, the security of the transaction. Like, all you got to do is put wording in there that makes it, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't go to Hi-Res's site and get me some Smite tokens. Maybe I should just do it through iOS, you know? I don't know.
It's an unsafe link.
I think it's going to be incredibly interesting to watch how this all rolls out. Jason's got a great article up on mmobomb.com for you to take a look at if you want to look at the full ruling and the pertinent snippets there. Other breaking news before we came live today. Elyon, formerly Air in Ascent Infinite Realm, also known as Air, was set to release later this month for those of you that have been watching that one, September 29th, in fact. Yeah, there's another title that, you know, might be releasing around that time, September 28th, the day before New World. So not surprisingly, Elyon has delayed its launch into October. So, you know, a couple weeks and you'll be able to play it. But also threw in Q the interesting caveat of, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just make this some bitch free to play.
Well, according to them, that's the reason they're delaying it. Right. According to the post, that's the reason they're delaying it, is they're making it free to play. And admittedly, I would think that shifting from a pay-to-play format to a free-to-play does take a little bit of time. Although I would have thought it would have maybe taken a little more time than they're suggesting it's going to take.
Yeah, you look at it, it's a matter of a couple of weeks. It's a Twitch is going nuts.
And I think we've gone offline. Yeah.
No, we're still online, but Twitch is going goofy, so I can't do anything about that.
No, we're off now. At least
you're starting to robot again.
No, now I'm dropping frames. What the hell is going on?
Now we're back.
There we go. We're back. All right.
Yep. Now do it now.
Yeah. So they use this as the reason, you know, for the delay. Jason, 100%. That is. While that may have a factor in it, you definitely were like, oh, New World delayed to a day before us. We got to get the hell out of this window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We feel that Elyon could hold its weight with any of them, meaning other MMOs. Like, no, you don't.
Right.
If you did, A, you wouldn't be delaying, and B, you wouldn't be going free to play.
This does bring up an interesting question for those of you that pre-purchased Elyon and any of their founders packs. Q, they did have a little bit in their FAQ about how this changes anything for those that have already shelled out money, right?
Well, I mean, basically they were pre-orders, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they initially were. Now they're more or less admitting that it's founders packs, and what they're doing is they're either giving you the option if you want to refund it, which is cool or whatever. If you want to go ahead and keep your founders packs, because according to them, and I mean, the bulk of the value was in the extra stuff you got more so than the actual getting into games. So what they're doing is you're still getting your extra stuff, and they're giving you some in-game or currency to go with it. I think it was like
it's 2,000.
So they're giving you, they're kind of buffering it and giving you a little bit of something that way if you want to keep it, but otherwise you can just refund it and go play the game anyway.
Yeah, I
read their article.
I think it definitely, Jason, opens up a much bigger potential audience. They've also said, hey, we're not going to be making any changes with the cash shop.
Which is ridiculous because it means that you already had a free-to-play cash shop in there. Oh my God, this is like.
But that's not surprising, is it? Like every game basically does that now. Like here's your cosmetic cash shop.
Yeah, but it's a little better when it's a paid game. I think usually it's a little better.
Well, that's what I said, though. Like, they said, oh, we're delaying it because we're switching to free-to-play. And it feels like, to me, if you were delaying the game specifically because you had to change your backend for free-to-play, you would be delaying it a little bit longer.
Considering that the only real change made here from their statement is we're not changing the cash shop, we're not changing our bundles, we're just taking the access to the game out of it and putting it 2,000 gems in there instead. Oh, and yeah, you'll just be able to click play on Steam. Like, that's really the only functional back-end change from their post. So, yeah, this was 100% to get the hell away from New World, which I can't really blame them for doing. And you know what? I think ultimately it will be better for Elyon long-term if the game has any sort of quality bar that people enjoy, if you just let all these people in right off the bat, Jason. I saw reply after reply after reply, Q, to the tweet that they sent out that was like, I wasn't going to try this. I wasn't going to buy it. It's too close to New World. It's too close to Endwalker. Now it's on my list. And I think as long as your game is captivating enough to keep some people around, this will give you the chance for, obviously, more people to keep around.
Well, I mean, yeah, it obviously does give you just more people in general, which for an MMO is good. Now, there is the whole thing of you have to make your game interesting enough for people to want to continue to play it, free or not. But if it's free and there's enough people that are playing it, then you're going to end up with some whales that are going to end up supporting the game anyway. So you should be fine.
Flip side, Jason, this is the game that was like, hey, those airships in our trailers, yeah, we don't have those.
Which was the whole reason I was interested in that game.
Yeah, well, one of the comments is on there. It says, when I first saw this game under the title Ascent Infinite Realm, I was excited for the massive scale ship battles, the aerial combat, and a good mix of steampunk. I think when that was scrapped because the mechanics sucked, a lot of people dipped.
Yep.
Yeah, including me.
It'll be interesting to watch and see what happens. Q's got the entire write-up coming on the website after the show here. All right, so this was going to be our first segment of news. We were going to talk about some things and whether they were good ideas or bad ideas. We're still going to do it, but it's going to be a little faster now than we had originally planned. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl going to be released in October. Now, this is going to be buy-to-play, of course. This is Nickelodeon's stab at Super Smash Brothers. In fact, watching some gameplay on the screen right now, I'd say it's more than just a stab at Super Smash Brothers. It looks almost identical, except with, obviously, Nickelodeon. There's over 20 characters that have been revealed and confirmed so far. I'll let you see a little bit of gameplay. First up, I want your take. Good idea, bad idea, this particular game. Jason.
Honestly, this is the first I've seen of like full gameplay, other than like a few seconds from like an announcement trailer or whatever.
Footage courtesy IGN, by the way.
Yeah. you're right. This is Smash Brothers, and it's a great idea. Smash Brothers is popular. You've got a great IP with a bunch of characters people are going to love, and yeah, great idea. Fantastic idea.
Q?
If the gameplay, if the gameplay somehow doesn't suck or whatever, it'll be great. It'll be wonderful.
Q?
Oh, I'm just here for Cat Dog.
There you go. There you go. It's a great idea as far as Q is concerned. Now, there are some concerns that I've seen online. Obviously, I think it's a great idea to try and do this. I do have concerns that they're not putting the amount of money into this that probably should be put into it. I can't decide yet if it's an attempt at a quick cash grab or a long-term investment on Nickelodeon's part. For instance, there is no voice acting. And that's,
Really?
yeah, that's not something that I particularly care about. In fact, when I play fighter games, the rare times that I do, and I'm terrible at Brawl specifically, any of the Smash Brothers, I'm particularly terrible at. Sometimes I think the voice acting is downright freaking annoying, because there's just like the hit sounds or the oofs or the, you know, taunts and stuff. They just are constantly firing the same 3 voice lines. So that may not be a bad thing, but it is an expense that they did not put into here. So it does leave me a little concerned that maybe this is being made on the cheaper end of the spectrum. We'll have to see when it actually comes out next month. I kind of feel like this will be a purchase in my house. Not for me, though. I do feel like my boys and my daughter will probably want to jump into this a little bit. If I had to guess, I'm going to say this is a negative from either of you, right?
I mean, I wouldn't play it just because I'd be terrible at it, but I
Yeah.
like a lot of these characters are like, you know, from like my high school, college days, and I watched a lot of it. So
Characters do have taunts. Here is SpongeBob's, modeled
Perfect.
after the meme, of course. Jason, you said perfect, so good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I think this might be a bad idea. I appreciate the humor in it, but like for long term, I don't think this is going to age well. I don't know. I'm kind of split on it. Q, what do you think?
what, the taunt?
Yeah, the taunt.
It's I just can't.
It's funny. I definitely like it. I just don't think it's going to age very well. So I'll go good idea. Jason, off to you. And Lord of the Rings Online, they announced their new expansion. They gave it a name. They've kind of unveiled a number of things, including one you've been looking forward to, or at least thought they should do, I should say, for a long time. That's the legendary item revamp. Now that you're seeing more of it, good idea, bad idea?
All these things sound good in a description, but it's going to be the question of how it feels like after you've been messing around with it for hours or months or whatever. Basically, they're narrowing it down to the point where you'll have like 4 different things you'll put into your weapon called traceries. Again, depends on how simple they are, how easy they are to manipulate, and how much they require you to do this, that, or the other damn thing. So, and it's going to be tough to tell, and what the grind is going to be to unlock them, and so on and so forth. So that was the big issue with legendary items beforehand. It took so long to get them going, to get them to the point where you wanted them to be at their max level. So, yeah, it's potentially a good idea, but it's going to need a lot more than just a paragraph or 2 of description for me to convince me.
I think Q and I will both defer to you on the Lord of the Rings stuff. Next up, good idea, bad idea. Fallout Worlds are now available in Fallout 76. They come in 2 varieties. You've got public worlds that are created by Bethesda, and everybody could jump into those. That's no problem. There's also custom worlds. This is available only to Fallout First members, and they can create their own little world and invite 7 of their friends and do a bunch of different gameplay settings and stuff like that. So good idea, bad idea, Q on first getting these custom worlds, and then the plebes, getting the ones Bethesda creates.
So Justin and I were talking about this, and I like the idea of custom worlds, right? Like I like Fallout 76. Justin and I played it, you know, forever ago. Like I like the idea of custom worlds, and that's kind of a thing that you think of with, you know, like with the way people mod Bethesda games and stuff like that. And like it's just something, but I don't like it being tied to the Fallout First, because, you know, like it just kind of sucks. And to the worlds that that Bethesda's creating, they're on a rotational basis. So it's not like you can find one that you and your friends really like and that's what you play in it and you stay in it. It's more like when MOBAs let you try a new champion, right, for a week or whatever. It's that kind of thing, and that annoys me because when they do the rotation on it too, like they have right now 5 different kinds. When they do the rotations on them, you can go from one that's, all creative and whatever to super intense, death. And it's like, maybe I wanted to stay over here in, creative and not do this. But you don't necessarily have a choice because it's rotated. And this is the new one that you get to do. So, I mean, on the surface, the whole thing is a good idea, but implementation, it's just not something that I like.
Yeah, Jason, and it is something that Bethesda's been kind of oddball comments about. Like previously, this could never be done, and then when they implemented First, this was supposed to be a key marquee feature in First, and now all these months and years later, we're finally getting it. I mean, I think net, I kind of agree with Q. Net, it's a good idea, but I don't like any of the world content. I feel like being able to create a custom world for 7 of your friends. I mean, we're not talking about massive server, hundreds of players that, there's a reason we're charging for the custom worlds. I don't know. It kind of feels a little grimy to me. Not that I'm a Fallout 76 fan anyway, so I personally don't care. And maybe this isn't grimy to Fallout 76 fans. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, I kind of think bad idea limiting it to the First.
Never believe Bethesda when they say something can't be done.
Right.
Because there's this. They said we can't do Elder Scrolls Online without a sub fee. It's required. We have to do that to get new content, and we can't provide any more canvas bags. We're just out. There's no more canvas. So.
Well, there was the great Canvi shortage.
I know.
We did talk about that.
Yeah, never believe them when they say they can't do anything. Although, no, the thing is, though, I'll say that I thought this was a good idea. Because I don't have an issue with them charging basically for custom worlds. Because I play a few other survival games and they do a lot of that same sort of thing. That's not too surprising to me. But I didn't know about the rotation thing for the free worlds.
Yeah,
that part seems weird to me. Because I agree, like how when you find something you want to stick on, if you can't do it because it's going to rotate out, that is a little ridiculous to me. That part of it I don't care for. But charging, if you want to have your own custom world, I don't have an issue with that really.
Mad Martha in chat says Fallout 76 people who wanted personal servers all went First anyway.
Yeah.
But that may be the case. That's why I'm asking if you're a Fallout 76 fan, is this just like, cherry on a sundae you were already paying for? Or is this the feature that made you go First? And if so, that feels a little to me. This past week, Sega, well, a little longer than that, but they announced this week, Sega has banned or severely punished over 1,600 Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis accounts for toxic behavior. We'll come back to that phrase. The official statement reads as follows: "We believe toxic behavior and hateful language is never appropriate. The New Genesis live operations team is taking action against racism, discrimination, and toxic behavior within our game. We've been taking action against this behavior and will continue to take the following actions to protect our players and eliminate negative behavior from our in-game community. Our actions: implement severe punishments such as account suspension when we find toxic and/or hateful remarks. Work towards improving how we combat toxicity by improving our processes as we identify problems within the in-game player community. We have suspended or otherwise severely punished more than 1,600 accounts found to engage in discriminatory and hateful behavior. We will continue our efforts to eradicate hateful behavior, racism, and discrimination in order to make our game a place where players are safe and welcome so they can enjoy playing New Genesis." Okay. I don't think any of the three of us are going to say bad news that you're getting rid of hateful and toxic players, okay? So that is not what I want your opinion on good idea, bad idea here.
Okay. I was worried there for a minute.
No. I don't think...
Mike.
If somebody being racist and gets booted from the game, that's a net good. That is not what I want good idea, bad idea on. I want good idea, bad idea on the way this is kind of communicated, because honestly, this is incredibly nebulous to me. They do specifically call out racism and discriminatory remarks. Okay. But they also keep putting in there toxic behavior, toxic behavior, toxic behavior, with no definition of what they consider to be over the line or not in a game that has pole dancing emotes and, you know, almost virtually nude cosmetic items and no real filtering on the clip art chat panes that can come up and be, you know, flat out anime pornographic at times. Whether you like those things in the game or not is not what I'm talking about here. If it bothers you, then you know, you have all these filters to turn things on and off. That's fine. I'm just talking about from the New Genesis team, given that your game contains what some people might already consider to be kind of questionable items as far as gameplay goes, don't you have to define toxic behavior a little more than this before it just becomes, you know, GMs do whatever the hell they want, Q?
I mean, I guess that's a good question. When I read the post, and granted, no one should make assumptions, but I did. I just assumed they were talking about your basic run-of-the-mill, this is what we know as toxicity, racism, sexism, homophobia, just being a general dick.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us would have a problem with that. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
I mean, and maybe that's what they intended us to think. Maybe it does require more definition. I remember back when I was, you know, doing the community management stuff for Gamebreaker, I ended up adding continuously in the site rules like really lengthy definitions of things because people wanted to argue with me about, well, you didn't say what no trolling means or something like that. So I guess logically somewhere there should be a little bit more, but when you're talking about a post that you're putting on Twitter that's just like a memo kind of thing, then, you know, I can see why they wouldn't bother defining all that out. And maybe what they should have just done is thrown in a link to, you know, a list of everything that is unacceptable according to them.
Yeah, and chat pointing out when you do that, though, Jason, you have a list of the do's and don'ts, and then people find the gray areas when you do that. So I can't begrudge them for not defining it, but it is one of the most common replies to the tweet that I see is, you know, hey, so what exactly is considered toxic, hateful, negative behavior? I understand racism and discrimination, since those are pretty straightforward, but not the toxic, hateful behavior. And in the post, they do make a distinction in those three things. They're not lumping all of it under toxic behavior. They specifically say that, where is it? Against racism, comma, discrimination, comma, and toxic behavior.
So Q's right in the sense that if you can't enumerate every single one of these because someone will find, if you have 864 things you define as toxic, someone's going to come up with number 865 at some point.
Right.
You have to add that to the list. I will mention, however, I'm going to cast my mind back to, I don't know, maybe circa 2013 or so, on an episode of Twimo, where you had this same issue with something that Sony Online said about their forums, how they were going to combat toxicity or something. I remember you specifically saying, well, what does that mean? What is toxicity? It is whatever the people in charge define it as.
Right, and that's my whole good idea, bad idea question. They have left this nebulous area. Good idea, bad idea.
Can't, because it's not possible.
Yeah, and I think I think
whatever
you're right.
They define it as.
I think you're right.
I mean, there is a general understanding. Like if I roll into chat and tell you to kill yourself, that is toxic behavior.
That's
100%.
Number 803.
Right.
Don't play Rocket League then.
Right. But that is toxic behavior. Like and it's things like that. And yes, okay, so don't play Rocket League. No, I wouldn't play Rocket League.
Okay, but what if I roll in the chat and say go fuck yourself? Is that toxic? Is that enough to get a ban? Maybe it is.
Right.
Maybe it isn't. It
And
depends on
maybe
the
it is
game.
or isn't. I feel like it depends on what I did for you.
Exactly.
To tell me
It
that.
depends. Keep in mind, it depends. So
Q says it depends on whether my behavior was toxic or not.
Right. If I'm in there telling somebody to kill themselves and Justin comes in and tells me to go fuck myself, then
oh, kids, don't respond to the bully or we'll get you both in trouble. You just both pay attention.
Let us know what you think in the comments below there. Sorry we had to get a little languagey there for some of those points. Now we did have
I never apologize for
we did have a little segment on some shooter game news. You can go check out mmobomb.com for some Valorant updates, a tactical new game. It was mobile, now it's on PC, some other things. We're going to skip that in the interest of time and jump to a first look video of Bloodhunt. That is now available in early access, is what I'll be streaming after today's show. As soon as I find the B-roll footage for you, I will bring it up. And there we go. Ethos did the first look video for Bloodhunt. Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale, now officially in early access, free to play. We did see it on the PlayStation Showcase yesterday, and that confirmed a PlayStation 5 release at some point for the title. But you can play it on PC and other platforms right now. Not a lot has changed, honestly. I mean, the addition of the Season Pass is there now. That wasn't there initially. There's a bunch more cosmetic options, but you still have the same 6 basic archetypes of classes, 3 different clans. It's still Battle Royale. Oh, you can queue with friends. So, Jason, if we want to team up, we now can do it. We weren't able to do that in early access. We just had to kind of hope we got the same match initially. So those types of features are in there. I'll be streaming it. Honestly, if you liked what you saw in earlier beta tests or you like what you saw in the gameplay action video I had done a number of months ago, there's more of that. I mean, there have been a few balancing things to go, so I don't really have a changed opinion. I'm going to play it some more today. I did buy the Battle Pass. It was a little less than $10 just so while we're streaming it, we have access to everything and we get a gauge on, you know, how fast we can progress through a Battle Pass and everything. I think the first level required 30,000 experience. I queued up for one match just to make sure it was all working for the stream today. I came in like 27th and I got 600 experience. So that's a long haul if you're bad at the game, I think. So we'll see. Jason, what do you think?
Honestly, as I started watching this, and after about 2 minutes, he said, yeah, it's basically the same, just like you said, with the Battle Pass and multiplayer. So I was like, oh, I'm done watching. He said, if you liked what you played before, you're going to like it as well. So I just stopped watching at that point. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm liking the look of this. I'm probably going to hate it when I played for a long time.
It's probably
like
Nosgoth. You just want Nosgoth to be back.
No, I don't really. It reminds me of Hyperscape, actually, is what I'm thinking more of.
Oh, good call.
The high-flying stuff and so forth. Building climate and so forth. It reminds me more of that. And I was bad at Hyperscape, but this seems to have a better capability for melee fighting. Like when I played as a Bruja or whatever it is, where you got like the bonus to your melee or something like that. So if I can do that and if I can stay, you know, keep my head down for the most part, not have to shoot too much, I might be okay at it.
Yeah, you're welcome to jump in and play with me whenever you want. Q, what do you think? I know you're a Vampire the Masquerade fan, but not really a Battle Royale fan, and so this probably goes by the wayside for you if I'd have to bet.
Yeah, no, wait, if they ever give me an RPG, I'll be happy.
Bloodlines 2, maybe?
Someday.
Maybe. Someday? I don't know. Chat kind of chiming in. Terra Nova saying, still not my thing. Still think they should get rid of guns and make it powers and melee only. Terra Nova, I do wish there was a little more focus on, like, actually being a vampire. Yeah, I mean, you got to do the, you know, the sucking of blood and things like that to refill health and get different abilities and things like that. So that it's there. But yeah, I mean, you basically run around with 2 vampire abilities depending on what class you are, and you know, you better be good with an assault rifle.
Yeah,
it's not unheard of in like the tabletop or the LARP or whatever for people to be running around with guns, but it's not generally vampires just running all over the city shooting at each other.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they do have that masquerade mechanic where you don't want to be exposed. It makes it more whatever it is. I forget. Yeah, I agree. It is more Battle Royale than it is vampire game.
Yeah, and I am a huge Vampire the Masquerade fan. I got my edition book right there. I love the tabletop game. I love Bloodlines. I'm looking forward to Bloodlines too. This does not sate the appetite, so to speak.
Your bloodlust.
My bloodlust, my desire for Vampire the Masquerade content. This does
and also,
not
no
sate that.
Malkavians.
Yeah.
Also, no Malkavians is
I've
a
only
big
got like
knock.
3 clans basically.
Yeah, they're going to be adding more clans as we go, apparently.
I bet you, I am almost willing to bet money that Malkavians, if they are added, are like the very last thing added. Because nobody knows what to do with them.
I think they said Gangrel was next. I think they said that.
That makes sense. They're nice in combat.
Yeah, I think they said that during a stream a while ago. So, yeah, that's not going to sate that appetite for you. But, you know, it's something. Maybe. I don't know. If it's your thing, check it out. We'll be streaming it after that. On that note, let's go to the weekly bombs. Mr. Winter, why don't you start us off today?
I'm going to give it a bomb to the keyboard I bought. Keyboard and mouse. It's just too loud. It was nice and shiny and pretty colors and whatever, but it's just too loud.
Is it a mechanical keyboard?
It's not. It says it's not. That was specifically asked on the Amazon page. Is it mechanical? No. But man, it sure sounds like one. So I want to send it back.
So it's a keyboard made for people that wanted the sound of a mechanical keyboard, but not the mechanics of a mechanical keyboard. That's a niche audience, I think. That's
pretty much.
Go ahead, Q.
I'm giving a dub bomb to Steve from Blue's Clues coming back and telling everybody he cares about
That
us.
was cute. That was super cute.
Speaking of things you knew in your high school or whatever that I was 30 years old when it came out.
My daughter cried when she watched that.
It was so Steve is wonderful, and I'm giving an A bomb to them canceling Final Space and making the creator literally cry on a YouTube video.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
No, well, it just happened today, and he posted a video talking about it, and he was in tears, and I was in tears, and it was terrible.
And everybody had a good cry.
It was sad.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to the Cenobites from Hellraiser being added to Dead by Daylight, something that we haven't been able to cover here all that often, but now can under the new multiplayer banner. There's no way I was going to miss the opportunity to give Doug Bradley a dub bomb. Thumbs up, huge. Pinhead looks great. Fantastic. From the viewers, Whole Milk says, dope website, check. Fresh content, check. A-bomb, dub-bomb chart, oh wait, I made that. But a new podcast calls for a new chart. Watch this space. So Whole Milk working on a new chart. We appreciate it.
And if you do that, make sure to put your name on it somewhere so we know who did it.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Somebody thought I did it. It's like, no.
Dub bomb to seeing the old cast members. I remember the first anniversary podcast, or was it the 100th episode celebration, where Havoc tried to stealth drink a 4-pack of Monster Energy drink without Mike noticing, and I believe he succeeded. It's been great following this site and its members for so long. A-bomb to the Novice Network in Final Fantasy XIV. For the longest time, the Novice Network has been a welcoming place for new players to receive great advice from veteran players. However, I have recently seen a spike in toxic behavior in that chat. Now, you think I'm going to blame this on the influx of WoW refugees for this toxicity, but the most toxic people I have seen have been the mentors. It's sad to see a new player saying, oops, our party just wiped on Titan Normal, and a mentor shitting on them for it. Can't we all just agree to keep the Novice Network nice? Yeah, the Novice Network should be one of the nicer places in any MMORPG, you would think. Go ahead, Jason.
Now, is that actually toxic behavior, or is that on the list?
I don't know. Let's contact Sega.
Well, in this case, we have to contact Square, I guess.
No, I want Sega to define it, and then we'll take it to Square.
Askius says, such a missed opportunity to call it optional fee to play cast. Optional fee to pay cast. Lol.
So there is a great name that Jason came up with that Always Online almost got called. The owner of the site thought it was too inside joke. Jason and I couldn't decide if it was brilliant or terrible. I leaned personally more towards brilliant. It was going to be the podcast, always online, about multiplayer games.
This, just so we know, this is going to be a surprise to me.
Oh, you forgot. You forgot.
I'm not even sure I was there for this.
Yeah, so always online, multiplayer podcast. We were spitballing names and then also trying to figure out like what existed. We didn't want to take anybody's name, no matter how big or small they were. You remember now?
Yeah.
And he said, I think we should call it, and I'm not sure if this is genius or terrible, but I think we should call it the 3-to-play cast.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is great. You know, multiplayer, free-to-play cast evolves into the 3-to-play cast. There were usually 3 hosts on most shows. And yeah, the owner thought that was a bit too meta. Luis thought that was a bit too meta and that people wouldn't get it. So yeah, go ahead, Q.
Sujet, a huge A-bomb to COVID. Still. One of my favorite bands, Unleash the Archers, got denied access to the U.S. from Canada due to COVID restrictions. I'm shocked by that because it's usually the other way around.
The other way, yeah.
They're hoping to have it sorted by next week, so it shouldn't affect my show, but I'm still so tired of the cancellations and delays of everything.
Mad Martha in chat saying, dub-bomb for the new Matrix trailer. That's always online, right? Yeah.
Not the Matrix Online.
Oh.
That has been online for 15 years.
Do you guys want to let us know in the comments? Do you guys want Matrix Online to come back now that you've gotten it? Do you want an MMO, a Matrix MMO? Yami Kami says, "Da-bomb for Temtem." Coming to Temtem's defense from us last week, saying, whatever. Despite of what you said in last week's podcast, Temtem has brought out 2 major content updates plus some minor ones since release and are working right now on finishing the story. And there's already endgame content to be found. You can do Psypark, where you get increased chances of finding Luma's shiny Temtem, or Temtem with better stats. You can rebattle the gym leaders each week. There are 2 spots where you can fight a raid dungeon-like area. Yes, you have to have a team, where you get a legendary Temtem at the end, plus some minor other stuff. So don't tell me the game had no updates. Rising to Temtem's defense. Rising to Temtem's defense.
You know, whenever we see some game that's like doing lousy on Steam charts or whatever, we're like, yeah, it's got 83 players or whatever, but I'm sure someone out there must love it. Well, we found the guy who loves it.
Yami Kami also gives an A-bomb to Skydome. I haven't played it, only seen the video. At first, it sounded great. MOBA plus tower defense. I like both genres. But even if this game has a thriving community, its execution is just so boring. Mobile players or PvP players? What does this game not have? PvP. Also, where exactly is the MOBA part? I don't see it. Yeah, you have a character that plays like in a MOBA, but you lack all the decision-making strategy and depth that makes a MOBA interesting. As I see it, you just build a lane with defenses and then defend, and sometimes do PvE jungling and defend against something stronger than your enemies send you. The game Legion TD on Steam is equally as dead, but still better in concept. Go ahead, Jason.
Let me just see if he's correct. Because Skydome currently has 3 players on Steam.
Yeah, that's also not... It's not officially released yet either, though, right?
Yeah, it's...
I mean, not saying it's like going to explode when it does, but...
Legion has like 300, so yeah, they're not equally dead, believe me. Silkrus1 says, I think you're going to be disappointed with the DLC for Aliens Fireteam Elite, as it's supposed to be only cosmetic stuff. The actual game edition is supposed to be released for free like the new Phalanx class.
Yep, and that launched this week. That is available in-game if you want to run around with a big-ass shield. Go ahead, Q.
RS Jabber, da-bomb to you guys. Lots of us play buy-to-play and pay-to-play games, so it's nice to finally see them covered. A-bomb to ArenaNet for very poor Guild Wars 2 anniversary sale. Nothing but skins all week long, and all the useful utility stuff like extra bag space was on the 24-hour flash sale, and lots of people missed it. Are you really going to slap me with FOMO on our anniversary? At least you remembered, I guess.
Nerdy viewer, cats are carnivores, so Mike, all cats are technically flesh-eating. Duly corrected there. You absolutely have me 100% there. I'll take the L. Not only do you have a tremendous YouTube name in Nerdy Viewer, but you get the dubs on this one. Go ahead, Jason.
Box says, giving out a few bombs this week. Giving a dub bomb to you guys for the new show format. I really like the new graphics and segments. I'll be saddened by the loss of Question of the Week, but I totally understand the reasoning behind its removal. Giving an A-bomb to Blizzard for not getting their heads out of their own rear ends sooner about the WoW changes. especially since many of the changes to the obnoxious systems were called for by players as far back as the alpha beta stages of Shadowlands. I'm still not going to bother with WoW just because I'm tired of essentially playing their cruddy systems they add in for 90% of the expansions, only for them to fix them with the last patch of each expansion. Either listen to actual feedback players give or don't even bother. It's insulting at this point.
Yeah, so we covered the 9.1.5 patch stuff on MMO Bomb. You can take a look at the article there. Originally, I had assigned it to Q. I was like, hey, Q, here, this is pretty big. You know, they're going to... Oh, and here's why it's big, and here's another link. Here's a little context. You know, I know you don't play, so here's a little context you might want. And then this goes with this, just so you can kind of put... And then I just ended up sending a message. I was like, you know what? I think it's just going to be easier if I take that one. Never mind. Forget about World of Warcraft. I'll take it. And I went ahead and typed it up and totally agree with you, Box. Like, if you read the way I wrote it, it's like, we've all been asking for this stuff since Shadowlands launched, and we're finally getting it, and here's the big deals and why. But yeah, I think I sent Q like 4 links before I was like, yeah, this is dumb. I'll do this one myself. Never mind.
I mean, it's not uncommon for you to do that. It's not super common, but it's not like it isn't a thing that you do.
I've done it before, but it's usually like, here's the news I want you to cover, and here's one link to give you a little more context. That one I ended up sending like 4 links, and I was like, if you need context to that degree, you should not be writing the article. Like, I'll go ahead and take this one. That's it. That's our show. So let us know in the comments below your weekly bombs. Dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or life in general, and any of the topics we chimed in on today. If you want to make your point of view known, let us know below. Don't forget to check out mmobomb.com. That's what pays the bills. Stop on by, hit the thumbs up on different things, go fill out reviews for games, check out all the videos and giveaways and more. We'll be back here at twitch.tv/MMOBomb next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of Always Online. Until then, Q, where can we find you?
And out on Twitter at Quitland.
Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you every news article, giveaway, interview, first look video, and so much more. Until next week, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers. Later.